Hello,
Yeah.
hello. Hi,
Good.
everyone. Beth Barany here with Gala, Russ. Today, we are coming to you with our Creative Entrepreneur Incubator. And there's street noise because I'm sitting in a stairwell. So I hope you can hear me okay.
Yep.
And yes, good. Today, we're going to talk about where we like to start when we help other creative entrepreneurs. And we specifically help people who are creative writers like us, we're both fiction writers, start businesses. Like I have been helping writers for 20 years as a book coach, a creativity coach, a publishing consultant, and book producer, as well as a teacher and an editor, lots of hats. Gala, how are you helping writers?
Right now, I am helping writers as a writing coach is my primary thing, but thanks to you, I've ventured into helping writers who want to create their own products or courses and to show them how they can start with what they have already, that it's really not that scary and that it is very possible and that you can do both. Yeah, and I think we're targeting writers specifically, but I don't think that this is only for writers. I think this is for creatives in general. Like if you want to do video editing, or if you want to do social media, help other people with social media or with editing. So many different things. We have several people who we know who are illustrators, people who help writers with their PR or just in creative in general. So many different things, but we want to help you start your business. It's really, really possible to do.
That's right. It's very possible. And what we also really notice is important to the both of us is we are creatives. We actually keep writing. We're still writing our stories, and that is really, really important for us. We're not actually wanting to foster a world in which people let go of their creativity to have a business. But what would it be like to put those two things together so that you can have both in a way that is synergistic and how one doesn't take away from the other, but it's because you do creative work that you're also able to serve. You come from a place, and this steps into the topic we wanted to talk about today, which is values, and how what is truly important to you is actually at the heart of how you help others. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Let's get more specific. We invite you listening live and on the replay to think about what is it that you really value? What is really, really important to you? And we were talking about this in another call, weren't we? Another live where it relates to whether you're a novelist trying to market your work or a creative who wants to create some kind of business, a service, or a product to sell. And that, of course, includes your fiction, but we're talking actually people who want to do more than just sell their books. We talk about that's kind of its own thing, right? We talk about that over at Creativity Sparks and in our own, and you have your channel as well where you talk to other writers and
Private
writing experts.
conversation. Yep.
Yeah. And so when it comes to starting your own business, what would you say, Gala, when you decided that this is what you wanted to do? I guess I'm going to interview you and maybe you could interview me,
I love
which
when you
is
interview
what
me.
did,
That's my favorite thing.
yeah. And likewise, I love being interviewed too. I love being asked questions. So for those listening at home, take this, but like, Gala, what was important to you about starting your own business? Why did you even decide, oh, I think I want to be a book coach? And you asked me, hey, I want to be a book coach. Like, what was important to you about that?
I don't think I had a straight path, but I think that's also how it is. There's never like a straight path to it. I was a teacher for a long time. My bachelor's degree is in education, my master's degree is in communication, and I was a ASL teacher for the longest time. I taught foreign languages, then I taught other teachers how to teach, and I designed curriculums for languages, and then I became a project manager, and then I started writing. And as I was writing, I kind of was missing teaching because, like, in addition to that, I was a swim coach. I was an art teacher at an elementary school, volunteer art teacher at elementary school. I always had some kind of way to teach and to impart knowledge. And then once I started writing, I really did not have any time at all because between my full time job and writing, it was just too much. And I think at some point I was just sort of missing that, but I knew that I don't want to go back and work at a school in a school setting. That was like that's not an option. And then completely randomly, a friend of mine who used to be my coach opened up a program to train coaches, and she's like, "You should go and join." I'm like, and do what? What like I have nothing to offer. And she's like, "You're gonna figure it out. I really think it's gonna be for it." And then this whole story where for a while I didn't see her, and then I saw her at a party and I asked her about that program and she said, "Oh, I actually haven't started it. It's starting like, in a couple of weeks or something." And that's when I joined. And during that program, we had exercises where you had to do them and you had to pick something to do the exercises on. And I'm like, well, I'm a writer, I am writing, so I will do those exercises on this writing and bookish area. And then as I started
Yeah.
doing them, I'm like, this is so cool. I like this. Like, Ca I can ac
Yeah.
can I actually do this? And I think that was right
Yeah.
around also the time when I met you, and I met, I
Mhm.
think, Rhonda Douglas and Monica Hay at a summit in August, and I went and I talked to them, and I said, "Hey, guys, this thing that you guys are doing, your book coaches, what does it mean? What do you do?" And they told me, and they were really open and talked to me, and then, I think it was October or November, I met you in person, and there was, like, that final thing where, oh, this is actually a job. Like, this is a thing that I could do. This is a profession. This is real. I feel like I am both qualified and that it will be super fun. So I don't know if this answers the
Yeah.
balance. And this is a very long story,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
never like, oh, I just want to do this. It was never like that.
Yeah, well, that. But what you're telling me is you miss teaching, you want to teach,
Yeah.
but the traditional, like going into a school system or maybe the way you've done it before wasn't a possibility. So you were looking for something else. And it sounds like you were attracted to what like Monica Hay and Rhonda Douglas were doing. And if I had to, what about what they were doing was attractive to you? So again, I'm digging around for the values because it is
Yeah.
a high value, teaching and learning. But what about what they were doing and what you saw me doing, which was give a presentation live in front of the room? Yeah, was attractive to
I think it was that you were still you and they were still they. They were not formal and, like, oh, it sounds like they were unprofessional. They were by no means unprofessional, but they were not this professional teacher, professor. They were very much a very human person. I could relate to them, and yet they were teaching and giving this information to writers that I myself find very valuable, and I really am glad that this existed as an opportunity for me to learn as a writer. I think the combination of
yeah.
sharing knowledge and yet maintaining your own personality, because all three of you are very, very different and basically teach different things, even though all of them are book coaching.
Yeah, so you just said we're all ourselves, meaning like the question here underneath the surface might be something like, how do you do what you really want to be doing professionally and be yourself? Like being yourself is a high value, not being
Yeah,
some kind of facade that corporate seems to ask of us, right?
yeah,
So that is your high value, being yourself, being able to teach, and in something that you're passionate about, which in our case is writing fiction. So those three things are really, they had to line up for you to be able to consider this as a possibility. And here comes the beautiful sun. Um, okay, so for others listening, ask yourself, what is it that attracts you in terms of being a creative entrepreneur and helping others, and what is important? Like for you, Gala, um, it was being yourself. For me too, that was a huge part of leaving the day job, as freedom. Actually, that's how I thought of it. I thought of freedom. I want to be free to choose what I want to do, and I want my own value to be what's out in the world, not someone else's. Like I
yeah.
don't want to just stand for someone else's brand. Okay, so navigating the sunbeam here. Uh, okay, Great. Now, that's a start, right? That'll get you entertaining possibilities in
Mm-hmm.
terms of a creative entrepreneur. I want to move to the next thing, which stumped me but is critical, which is who do you help? Kind of know what you wanted to do. And was it evident to you who you wanted to be helping right away? When you came up to me and you're like, I want to be a book coach, you weren't sure? No, you weren't sure yet who you wanted to help? Okay. And I think that's probably something we explored together as we started working together and it evolved. So I also want to demonstrate for everyone that you may have just a general sense of who you want to help, like writers. I want to help
Writers
writers,
was
right?
about it. Yeah.
Writers. Okay. Yeah. And when I started, I was helping fiction and nonfiction writers because I didn't know, I didn't have a specialty yet. So that's a good start. Who you want to help is great. And then what do you want to help them do? Like when you sit with a writer, where does your attention go?
And I think that was part of discovery for me because when I started, I was offering a lot of different services because as an indie publisher, had to wear so many hats and have proficiencies in so many different areas. And I said, well, I could help somebody with their writing craft. I could help somebody with developmental editing. I could help somebody with line editing. I could help somebody with book marketing, with book publishing, with et cetera, et cetera. There were so many different things. And I started by offering all of those. And I also, like you, started by both working with fiction and memoirs, because I personally really, really love memoirs. I read a lot of memoirs. And I was like, oh, this would be interesting for me. And truly to me it ended up, but I'm the experimental learner. People who haven't taken our quiz, take the quiz. Because that was really, really informative for me. Once I did the quiz, I'm like, oh yeah, I am an experimental learner. By doing and taking on clients in all of these different areas, I figured out what I like doing and what I do not like doing. And I also figured out, for the price that I was paid, how much time it took and whether there's certain things that could support it better. Like, I feel like for me to do line editing, and I think I had that conversation with you, I would have to charge somebody like $5,000 for 100K book. And that's not a price that the market currently supports, really. Like,
Well,
and
most of
and
the
other
market.
way.
Yeah, we could talk about how to find
So
a market that could support that, right? But yeah, what we're talking about is a lot of different things when it comes to figuring out how to find your audience. We do encourage everyone to go take a quiz, your creative business style quiz, which Gala created, and I will put that into the chat. But this whole notion of experimenting, we know that a lot of people we talk to need kind of a nudge to go and experiment with what they're doing. And what is it for you? I almost want to, I think I know the answer to this question, but what helps you experiment? What are the ingredients of being able to run experiments for you in terms of people, things, tools? What are support? I don't know. What are the ingredients that you need?
Um, I think curiosity is one of them because I always wish for certainty. Like in my core inside, I always want to be certain, and it's so hard because in this business, as in a lot of businesses, certainty is not even a guarantee, but probably most likely not going to be available to you as a possibility. So I think that going against that and understanding that I'm not sure if this is going to work out or not, but I'm going to go and be curious about it and see how this goes. I think that is probably what helped me. And also understanding that if I did this once, it doesn't mean that I have to keep doing this. It's okay to do it once, understand that, oh, that's actually not something that I enjoy doing, and just not do it again. And I think that that was
Yeah,
a big mental step. Like it took me a while to get there. Like you don't have to commit to your first date. Like you're not going to get married
right.
just because you went on a date once. I don't know,
Yeah, I love
maybe it's
that
not a good
analogy. Yeah.
example, but yeah.
No, I think that's a good analogy. And for those of you listening and you're curious about starting your own business as a creative entrepreneur, uh, you might want to think about running small experiments. And I know one of the things that has always helped me, and I think it helped you, Gala, too, is get thee with your cohorts. Like you didn't do this alone. You reached out to Monica and Rhonda. You reached out to me, and it just so happened that I was able to bring you on as an apprentice, as a client, actually, because I
Mhm.
was already working on helping other people start to build their creative
Yeah,
businesses and have been unofficially for a few years. So when I started my business, I joined a local networking group. I did not do it alone and by myself. So that's a big part, is be in community, find your people, go to local
for sure.
entrepreneur groups. In fact, I used to do that years ago. uh, a friend and I, we had a little tiny business project called Breakfast Blogging Club. And then she and I would go to the local entrepreneur group run by another friend of ours. Well, he became a friend, and we'd go to his meetings, and his meetings would have like 100, 200 people, and they're at the local library. We started building our local network that way. And we
Yeah,
started offering our little our workshops, our Breakfast Blogging Club workshops to them. And it was all because of the local community and this cross pollination. My insurance broker introduced me to Cheryl. Cheryl introduced me to these other friends, and on it went. So, it doesn't happen by itself. No
yeah,
business happens by itself. You need your peers, you
for
need
sure.
your referral partners, and you need, of course, your clients. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Reaching
So
out and or
yeah.
accepting invitations, whichever way it goes. But for sure, yes, it's been all a community. And with writing, when I started writing, it was the same thing. That's why I originally started writing on Wattpad. It was because writing by myself was just too lonely. And then writing with on community ended up being the what introduced me to other writers, to other resources, and created the network that right now are a lot of them are my friends. Yeah,
Yeah. So that comes back to, I think, for both of us, community is a big value,
for sure.
and being in community. But I think if you're going to be a creative entrepreneur, that you probably have built into you that need for social connection, the need for relationships. And especially if you're coming from being a writer and working a lot by yourself, it can be a big switch, and it can be a big bit of a stretch to find what it is that you value in terms of relationships. So I just want to give an example. Folks that we work with, they don't. Some of them aren't online, and yet they network by talking with people that they know, and then asking, "Hey, who else do you know that I could talk to?"
Yeah.
And that's how they build their network and their referrals and partners, but also potential clients and customers. So, yeah, I would say everyone who's in business has to have some kind of community, value community in
Mhm.
some way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is true, and entrepreneurship is it's you're in charge of directions and decisions in your business, but you are still when people say solopreneur, I think like you're not alone. Like there, you still are interacting. If anything, you're interacting even with more people than in the corporate world. I feel like because you have to do it for your business to grow and to like see what's happening in the world that you're doing business in. I do not know how you could do it just on your own by yourself.
Yeah, I don't see either. What would you say are some of your other values, and that are reflected maybe in what you teach or how you teach, and what you care about in the service that you provide?
I think I said that to you before. No gatekeeping. I think for me, information and knowledge and experience. Like there's so many things that I want to share with other people, and I'm not always certain who is in what mm, financially is able to support what kind of level of support. So I want to be able to still put free information, free resources out there. And I'm kind of hoping always that my business side is going to be able to support the free things. And that's like one of the things I usually have a scholarship student in my classes. I'm trying to find a way where I give back to people who cannot afford this in one way or the other, but still have a business so that I can still eat and support my own family. And this is a hard thing, but um, I guess free sharing. Um, you know how in technology there is like open source uh, programming where you can go and see how it's built and go build your own thing. Kind of a little bit of that to the best of my ability.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there is a whole social sharing economy that has grown up over the years. I mean, when I started with blogging, gosh, almost 17 years ago, like blogs, right? Substack.
Yeah.
What we're doing, this is free. Anyone can access it. Our Substack lives go up on YouTube. Anyone can access it. So there's already in the education field, at least in both of our backgrounds as English as foreign language teachers, lots of free curriculum sharing. So everything is there. Everything is out there, and I think you're doing it, and I'm doing it as well. Is there anything else that is important to you in what you offer, and that shows up in how you offer it or how you market it?
I think part of me, I always talk about being a project manager, and I like structure, I want to say. So I kind of want to have a certain clarity. I want it to be organized, but I'm not sure if that's the right way. Yeah, kind of.
Well,
I
I
don't
can
know
see
how to say
from
that.
the materials, yeah, I can see from the materials that you create, like you created our quiz, that you care about clarity and
Yeah,
guiding off, helping people come to clarity, which is a value, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. Why don't you come up with a question to ask me, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay. Uh, when you look at yourself right now in the business that you have right now in this like very this is not the first or the second or the third or the fourth, it's like the umpteenth iteration of your business, and you look at when you just started your business first, can you see that there are certain values that are still in common for you that were there then and are still here now that hasn't really changed much?
Sure. Um, well, I'm still interested in helping people make things. Like for me, making a book is such a tangible thing. And I've always, right from the beginning, the class was how to write a book. I didn't say what kind of book. I just said how to write a book. Because for me, having a book is such a beautiful, tangible, finished product that people can have and hold and experience, even if it's digital. And
Hmm.
now here I am, fast forward to 20 years later, I'm helping people still with books, but also with podcasts, businesses. I'm working on a short film. I'm helping someone create their YouTube channel. I'm stepping up and moving into the creative producer side where I want to still create tangible things
Mm.
that have a beautiful experience for the end user, for the end reader, the listener, the watcher. So I could definitely see that's a through line for my whole life. In fact, I was making things as a child, making books as a child. So that is definitely happening. And I can see, wow, this is like a deeply embedded value of mine.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, that's just one example. And I would say the other is story. And what is a story? And how do you write a story? But also, what is the impact of story on the other? Whether it's a class I teach, a book I write, help someone else create their own book or class or podcast or whatever. I think about what is the it's like a performance for me. What is the that experience I want the audience to have when they're done with when they leave the opera house? Like, how do I want them to feel? Like, I daydream about presenting at the Paris Opera House. That's like a long time
Mhm.
dream. But as a presenter, as like a performer, as doing something that everyone gets to have an amazing experience, and that is what I love dreaming about as well. So what is that experience for them? And that's, of course, that goes into editing novels, that goes into helping someone figure out what is the brand of my YouTube channel, or what is the brand and value of this podcast I want to put up. It's the same thing. It's all about the end user and their amazing, amazing experience, and getting really specific about that emotional experience. And at the end, it's like, how do you make a delicious meal? You don't just make a delicious meal. You make an Italian dish, or you make a Asian dish, or you make a Mediterranean dish, right? We get really, really specific with our spices and our ingredients. And yes, I come from a cooking background. My parents are amazing cooks, each in their own way. So I guess those two things, the full end product, amazing user or audience experience.
Yeah.
I've always been interested about, and I didn't, I had to learn a lot of things to be able to do all of that. But does that?
Yeah, and I was asking that partially because I think we sometimes feel like we need to know exactly what we're going to be doing right away. But I think leading with values is going to help you understand what is the essence of what is it that you want to deliver, but the packaging of it can change through the years, right? You started from how to write a book because having a finished tangible product is one of your values, and now you're going into how to create a YouTube channel or a podcast, but the underneath value is still the same. It just goes through different iterations. So like, don't worry about that packaging potentially changing over the years or even across 1 year. That's totally okay. You're going to be refining things. Focus on the deeper reasons why you find this creative entrepreneurship is worth doing, right? What attracts you, what kind of final result you want to be seeing in your clients. I think that's kind of what I wanted to say there.
Yeah, that's lovely. And I think that also circles us back to like the deeper why of why I do this for my own satisfaction, and what is the deep why for me, for you, for anybody else who does this. And when you're starting out, it was the urge to have the freedom to make my own decisions was what drove me. And I would say it's still what drives me.
Still drives me for sure.
I'm always coming back to, well, what do I want? That didn't work exactly as expected. So what do I want today? And it's not a one and done decision. I'm constantly revisiting this decision. And it's very common. I think anyone who is in evolution and allowing themselves to learn and grow gets an opportunity to ask themselves constantly, what would I like today? And let yourself be honest with that answer, because it isn't. And so what I found over time is there's multiple things that I kept coming back to. One, I wanted to be working on my fiction. Two, I wanted to be of service to others in a way that was fun, but sometimes what I thought would be fun wasn't fun. So I'm like, oh, that wasn't very fun. Let me switch gears. Let me shift, to this or to that. Or, oh, it's not very fun to sell this, but I think it would be fun to sell that. Let me go focus on selling that. So again, back to experimentation. And for those of you listening, and take our quiz, because there's experimentalist or the inspired improviser is one. But I also know there's like the visionary. If you're someone who dreams deeply about what you want to create, that's fabulous. We haven't really met that many visionaries who are just solely visionaries. A lot of people are a little bit visionary, but then a lot grounded strategist. And they see the whole strategy. And I think that we're all a bit of all four. But when I see the strategy, then I'm like,
a combination of them. Just which one do you kind of is stronger for you? What to lean into, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and when do you need what? You need to be able to vision. You need to be able to strategize. You need to be able to experiment. And I forget what the other one is. There's one in there that I cannot remember. It's probably the one I relate to the least. Do you remember what it is? No?
I do not, but I can probably look it up.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere. Here it is. We're all opening up because we want to encourage you all to go and take the quiz at Creative Entrepreneur Incubator, which will jump you to my quiz page, which is bethbarany.com/quiz. And you will see what is your creative business style. And we've got the grounded strategist.
Yeah.
Yeah, the inspired improviser, the visionary, and the experimental builder. Okay. Inspired improviser and experimental builder is where you and I tend to live. But we need the vision and we need the strategy. But I'm going to leave. I think we should wrap up because I'm getting really hot here. Next time I won't run this outside. But you do need a vision. You do need the ability to improvise and experiment and the strategy. But you don't need to know the whole strategy, y'all. You just need to know the next few steps. So today we encourage you to follow our Substack, Creative Entrepreneur Incubator, subscribe to us, and take our quiz, Creative Business Style Quiz, and then take the quiz. And then we'll come back to you next week with our next topic, which we will determine. And if you have questions about creative entrepreneurship and how to get started, or please ask us, because that's what we're here for. And coming down the pike, we're going to be sharing with you a workbook, offerings, a revised quiz. We have a big entrepreneurship apprenticeship training that's going to happen next year, so stay tuned for that. And maybe there's a product that you wish existed that doesn't exist, and maybe that's something that we create. We'll see. We'd love to hear what it is that you need to get your creative entrepreneur business up and running. So I guess that's it for this week.
Yep.
Signing off.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.